Welcome back into the Huskers Radio Network podcast. I'm Jessica Coody, and a special Husker Women's Wednesday for you here on the podcast, sponsored by Emeritus, as we've got a check-in with none other than Jordy Bahl. How's the summer going?
It's been busy, but it's been good.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
So you think about, it's almost a year ago, we were sitting down in the studio having a conversation about you making the decision to come back to Nebraska, come back home. How do you feel different now a year later?
I don't know, man. It's funny because every year, like since college, it's like I get to my sophomore year and I look back at my freshman year and I was like, who was that kid? And now it's like I'm in my junior year looking back on my sophomore year and it feels so long ago, but it really wasn't. It's just crazy. I think being in college athletics, like so much gets crammed into one year that it's like you look back at the last year and you're like, that was only a year ago. But yeah, it's been crazy.
So had the injury, unfortunately, at the beginning of the season. How are you doing? How's the progress going? You've got a lot of fans that are curious how you're doing.
I'm doing good. I'm in the strength building phase right now. So 4 coming up on 5 months. I'll be fully cleared like mid-October, so I got a ways to go still. Kind of in that point where starting to feel good, starting to do a little bit more skill work, pushing off a little bit when I pitch, probably like 50%. But still got to take it slow. So being patient is one of the biggest things right now still.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I talk to a lot of athletes that a lot of times at this point it's just being patient, not pushing yourself. Has that been a challenge for you to, hey, we got to just do what my body says right now?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like as I come back and I'm slowly getting back into pitching, I want a pitch count. And so I reach that pitch count and it's like, I still feel like I could go a little bit more. And then our athletic trainer is like, that's good. That's where you should be. You don't want to like max out right now because that's when it can get dangerous. So just trusting her. She's awesome, Marcia. So it's been really nice to be able to just fully trust her.
You know, there was just so much going into you wearing the Nebraska uniform that first game, and then you go down with the injury, but you handle it just like you do with everything else, just with such grace. What went into you being able to handle everything when I know it had to be really disappointing as a competitor to have that injury there at the beginning of the season?
Well, it was kind of funny because, like, I didn't realize what had, like, the results until I got back to the United States, because that happened in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it's like, at first I was starting to think like I was going to be fine, because it's like even the next day after it happened, like I was starting to get more mobility back as the day went on, moving around, put weight on it. I was even jogging. So I'm like, okay, like maybe I just hyperextended it or something, like it's going to be fine. And then I got the results. And at first, like this all happened within a span of 30 seconds. I was angry. And then like 2 seconds later, I was like, okay, so I'm redshirting. And like just accepting that fast is like, well, this is the cards I'm dealt. I'm redshirting. And then it was, so what do we do next? Like when surgery, like all that happened. So it went from anger to, okay, well, this sucks, but this happened, and now what next? And honestly, after that, there was just a wave of relief, honestly, because just mentally, like the last 2 years before that were just so draining, because just the pressure, the expectations, coming home, like that caused a lot of noise, and just at no point did I ever step back and just exhale. And so that was kind of God's way of saying, here's your exhale, you don't have a choice. And so honestly, thank goodness, because I wouldn't have exhaled if it wasn't my call, you know what I mean? I'd still just be going crazy. So there was a big just wave of relief with that too, because it's like, yeah, this sucks, but I can't do anything about it. So I could either sit here and think about how bad this sucks, or I could truly use this for the rest that I've just been like looking for so long. It's like even in coming home, like the brain never slowed down. So just taking a step back.
Yeah, absolutely. Great perspective. You did get to put on the uniform though. Mm-hmm. How was it wearing that Nebraska uniform just for that, even just that one game? It
was cool. It was special. And even after I got hurt, I still put the uniform on. Just, you never know when the last time's going to be. So some people were like, oh, why are you suiting up? Like, are you going to get out there soon? And I was like, no, not at all. Like, not the whole rest of the season, but like putting the uniform on, because like I said, you play for 4 years and then you're done. So just put it on whenever you can.
You know, I talked to a lot of the players throughout the season, Sydney Gray, Billy Andrews, and Sydney Gray was one of the first ones, and it was coming off a weekend where you didn't get to travel because I think you had the surgery, and she said just how much they missed your presence and your leadership, and you know, what was your approach to that, knowing that you were coming in, but you did have some relationships with some of the players, but being able to establish that presence and leadership really right out of the gate, it seemed like?
I made that a big goal of mine, was to still like feel like I was making an impact. But honestly, it was hard, because it's like growing up, like I was always taught, like if you're a leader, like you never try to take your teammates somewhere that you're not going yourself. It's like you can't push anybody harder than you're pushing yourself. And so it was kind of hard and a different approach sitting on a bucket in the dugout, but that is such an important part of a team too. And so I guess learning to just embrace that, how to be the best there as possible, that was something that was pretty fun to do and be a part of.
You were all a part of the celebrations. I think some people were like, whoa, 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 easy on the knee when you're celebrating some of those home runs. But the way that the Red team continued to battle and fight throughout the adversity over the last season, how much pride did you take in that, just being able to sit back and watch that and the way that they continued to fight throughout all last season?
I think it was huge. It's like, I think I was the first player to go down, but then like as our season went on, like in like a month later, we had a couple more girls out. And so I think our team just had to take this mindset of, yep, these are the cards we're dealt. Next woman up, we still got to keep going. Like, we can't panic and freak out. Like, this is what's happened, and either we can get down about it or we could just bow up. And so I think as we continue to try to just have that mindset and embrace that, that was huge for our team. And you saw a lot of girls step up, especially upperclassmen who this was their last year.
Did you, besides getting the breather and the exhale, did you learn anything? Were you able to take away just being able to sit back and watch the game from a different perspective last year?
Yeah, I realized how much I do actually love softball. And that sounds so funny to say, but you know, like you get to college and it's softball, softball, softball. And at one point, and even just like growing up, like in high school, it's just a lot of softball. So I think I got kind of burnt out. And I got to a point where I was like, man, like I love softball sometimes and sometimes I hate it. And so just watching from the sideline this year, I would say I had this, like, my nerves, like those butterflies, they started to come back, and I would be at warm-ups, and it used to take, like, a huge game, like, sellout crowd for me to start to feel that, like, hype nerves. But we'd be warming up, nobody in the stands yet, like, just starting, the music's going, and I'm, like, starting to feel it, and I'm like, oh, man, I can't wait to get back out there again, because I love playing with that just fire, and sometimes I felt like it was there, sometimes it wasn't, but I know it's going to be there when I get back out there, so I'm really excited.
I love that. Coach Revelle, you go way back with, you have had a relationship with for a long time. But being in her program, being coached by her, seeing how she operates a program now that you're in it, was there anything different? What did you learn about her? What did you come to appreciate even more about her over the last year?
I'm just kind of thankful that I got the opportunity to get to know Coach Revelle without being on the playing field this year, because relationships are really big to me. And just getting to know her and appreciate her. Like, I want to be out there on the field, you know, ready to go to battle for my teammates, but also for my coach, you know. And so just getting to know her and appreciate her has been really cool. And it's hard to do when, like, it's strictly business all the time. And so there have been times this year where I got to just chat with her and it wasn't strictly business because, you know, like, yeah, business goes on as usual, but at the same time, it's like, I could just get to know her more personally. So that was really cool. She cares a lot. She's Husker through and through. You know, she's been here for 30-plus years. I don't know if anybody cares more than she does. So I really just love that about her, and she brings it every day, whether she's having a good day, bad day, if she slept 2 hours or if she slept 10 hours, which rarely ever happens, she's going to show up and be Coach Revelle. So you always know what to expect with her.
You been to any of her cycling classes?
No, I haven't. No.
I did.
I'll stay away.
Yeah, she's a treat to go through that one.
I bet. I could not imagine.
You want to talk about high energy. You know, just when a year ago and you talk about how much you love Nebraska and coming home, and now that you've been here for a year, how much have you loved it? I mean, and being able to be back home.
I loved it just as much as I've always loved it. Just nice being able to hang out here all the time and not have to leave. I don't know.
You know, for all the young girls that have been able to, you know, see you up close and get to know you being back home, what's that been like? How cool has that been, just to, again, being able to have that, being a role model for so many young girls in the state?
That's been really cool, and I think one of the coolest things about being injured and then just also being back home, like you said, getting to interact with the Nebraska little softball players of the state, is that, like, a lot of girls, they watch throughout season and they all watch the World Series, and that's like the highest of highs in your college career. But what they don't see is the several of low points that go on right before that. So kind of getting to share my experience with them, several of them going through the same experiences, whatever kind of adversity it may be, but kind of like being able to show them that this is a part of it, but you got to push through this too and able to reach those high points. So that's not the message that they receive all the time. Like, they just want to be at the highest of highs, but there's so many lows come with that. So it's been cool to kind of be able to use my platform, I guess, to help girls navigate those parts of the game as well.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so Nebraska Softball has made some huge splashes in the transfer portal over the last month or so. Man, what's your perspective on that and this coaching staff being able to bring in some really great players to help you guys out this coming softball season?
I am so excited about all of our transfers. Obviously, when new players are coming into the program, like you want them to check the physical boxes, and all of these girls are great ball players. They're athletic, they're strong, they're powerful, they're good at what they do. So obviously those boxes are checked. But what I'm so excited about is the mentality that they're bringing to the table. Every single one of these girls, as I've talked to them, have said they want to win and they want to do just whatever it takes to win. And they want to be around like-minded people. So that's a winning culture right there. And so I'm just really glad to be able to play with these girls. And a lot of them, like, I'm going to go out with them. Like, a lot of them have 2 years left. So I'm like, this is perfect. So I'm really excited to build relationships with these girls and go, like, just turn that mindset that they're bringing in to just our team's mindset overall. I think it's going to be huge. They're going to play a huge role.
A lot of them, too, have some kind of Nebraska tie, too. What is it about, growing up a fan of this program, it's drawing you back and you want to be a part of it?
I don't know. It's funny. Like, it is crazy how, like, so many people's roads somehow lead to Nebraska, whether it's extended family here, they grew up playing here, they lived here. Like, I don't know. It's cool. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun.
Another thing that came out recently was the Nebraska ranks #1 in attendance for women's sports and soccer, softball, women's basketball, and volleyball. What do you make of that? How much pride do you take in that, again, this fan base shows up for women's sports here at Nebraska?
It's cool. Obviously, like, we've known Nebraska's had great fans for a really long time, and how many consecutive sellouts for our football team, like, I don't even know. It's probably getting up to 400. I don't know. But it's just cool that these fans are now, their interest is being drawn towards women's sports, and volleyball has been huge for that. But I don't know. People are starting to realize that women's sports are competitive. Women athletes play with passion. Like, it's fun to watch. And I think a lot of people watching the College World Series see that too. Like, I've heard people say that, man, the Women's College World Series is sometimes more fun to watch than the Men's College World Series. And I don't know. Like, yeah, it is. So it's just cool. I don't know.
Last thing I got for you, just, how do you approach just going into, again, the rehab process and then getting this team together and doing what you guys need to do to set the tone in the fall and leading into the spring?
We're just really trying to take it one day at a time. I think we can get caught up in hype of what everybody thinks, like, oh, based off our speculations, based off of the power of our transfer portal girls coming in, like, we should be this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of people writing checks that they don't have to cash. So I think it's great if we're talking about that, like, amongst ourselves, because we're the girls that are going to go out there and make it happen. But as far as just keeping the blinders on and taking it one day at a time, that's going to be, I think, huge for us. Personally, with my rehab, that's my goal. Like, I can't look at October and expect myself to be at October now. Like, now I need to be able to feel on time, snappy release at 50%. And then it's going to be like 60, then 70, 75, building up. But just keeping the blinders on and taking it one day at a time is going to be huge for our team.
Great stuff. Jordy Bahl, thank you so much for being with us, and can't wait to see you back out on the field, full uniform and pitching again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And this has been Husker Women's Wednesday, presented by Emeritus. Emeritus is proud to power this podcast and all of Husker women's sports. Thanks for listening and watching. As always, make sure you subscribe and like wherever you listen to never miss an episode right here on the Huskers Radio Network podcast.